Welcome to my channel. I'm Cynthia Greer, spiritualist who works at the in-depth level of the soul. My work is to specifically help you connect with the darker side. The darker side within, known as your shadow side, that is preventing you from living your fullest life in the true expression that God created you with, that includes your abilities and your talents and your true divine personality that has been buried under the anger, the bitterness, the resentment, and the consciousness of lack and limitation. Before we get into this, please like, subscribe, share, and press the notification buttons, as I am totally self-funded without sponsorship or monetization. So this is gold to me. It's as if you would have written me a check or given me a donation towards the work that I do. Now, at the taping of this video, it is Thanksgiving Eve, and I'm heading out the door to a morning coffee in my apartment complex, and I meet a lot of people at events, and one of the saddest situations that I come across is estrangement from either a parent who has just decided to drop their adult child, or an elder or middle-aged parent who has been dropped without any explanation. Maybe this is your situation. Maybe you have been told that your child wants no contact from you, or your parent wants no contact from you, or maybe they have just simply blocked you and ghosted you, and that is it. Maybe you are estranged from your entire family because you never fit the protocol that everyone else did. You didn't get the same type of education. You didn't choose a career path along the same lines. You didn't end up in the marriage with the 3-car garage and the perfect picture that could be presented to the world, and you were an embarrassment, and therefore you were outcast. Maybe your sexuality came into play. Maybe you chose a path that wasn't heterosexual. Maybe you are heterosexual and you were deemed gay, like I was, because I hadn't found the right partner. And so it was just assumed that I was not a heterosexual. And that really is hurtful as well as damaging, especially if it comes at you at an early age when you are a young adult and you are still finding your way in the world and you are working on a career that you know is suitable for you. The other aspect is finances and illness. A lot of people are abandoned when a catastrophic illness is diagnosed. And I know for a fact that many women are handed divorce papers when the cancer diagnosis is laid out before you. Whatever the case may be, the hurt that comes is so heartrending that actually it tears out a part of our soul as this aspect of our life with others leaves. And in many cases, it's necessary. There is no other way it can be done to protect the mental health and many times the physical health. And in other cases, it is completely unjustified. And it's very painful because you have a belief that your parent that carried you for 9 months or was a part of your creation is going to love you and be family with you throughout your life. Yet, one or both of those parents didn't have the parental instincts due to the missing parts of their own soul. Whatever the case is in your separation this holiday season, the key to healing is completely at a soul level, and it lies in the act of forgiveness. So when I think of the word of Thanksgiving, and I am having my holiday spread and I'm visiting with friends, and then I'm taking that downtime alone in the sacred aspect for it, the whole time I am in deep gratitude for all of the things I have in my life. But the forgiveness from being hurt, being casted aside, being left out, whether you created it through actions that you are well aware of that drove someone that you loved very deeply away from you, or you didn't have a choice. It just happened, and you're still trying to figure out what's wrong with you. The act of forgiveness, going to God with that wound, is the key to healing at a soul level and becoming whole once again. And some things are impossible to forgive. Sometimes abuse, abandonment, cruel words, where your character was absolutely attacked for no reason, accusations were hurled at you that were not true. These things are seemingly unforgivable. But believe it or not, there comes a point in time in soul evolution when that actually does take place. It has to. Because if you are working on soul evolution, you are purifying the heart. And when the heart purifies, which is going to happen in stages, the way you think about things, the way you see things, is not going to be through a narrow, one-sided lens. Because you are going to be coming from a place of divine love. Now, divine love, when you attain it, does not go below the level of the heart chakra. So this means you have overcome the issues in the first three, which are the root, which is the material, the need for money to bring you happiness, instead of seeing money as divine, as a way of creating a better life, a solid life, a clean life. When you are in the lower echelons of the root chakra, you are looking at it through tunnel vision. You're looking at it through poverty consciousness. You're looking at it through survival. And you are relating it to it in that way, either not having enough of it or hoarding what you have or trying to attain it by latching onto a relationship that is incompatible with you. Maybe even bringing a child into the world for manipulative purposes to hold on to a dysfunctional relationship because of the material. All of those things are in the root chakra. The second is your creative center. It's your sensuality. It's your divine feminine, your womb if you are a female, your ovaries, your cervix, all of that. And it is the sensation of sensuality and all of the creative aspects that go with that, that reflect in art, music, dance, creative finances, and all of the things that make this earth very special, that bloom. And then the third chakra is, of course, feeling. It is what you are picking up in on the outer world. And you can either tap into the matrix, what is projected with all of the darker aspects of competition and control and viciousness and greed and political upheaval, and on it goes, to the point where you become a bundle of nerves and you just can't handle anything, and then it starts to affect your mental health. Okay, so when you are on a high spiritual path, you are working to clear all of this, not by going into denial that these things don't exist, but by truly working through them on a highly spiritual level. And I know for myself, I wrote about this in my book, Medical Malpractice, The Uncharted Journey. I had someone that it was near impossible for me to forgive. And I went to beloved Jesus with it. And I prayed. And I had this beautiful vision of this individual being in the arms of Jesus. And at that moment, I knew that my issue with that individual was irrelevant because Jesus was completely taking over in this situation. All I had to do was believe that he had it completely under control. I had to take my focus off of this individual and what they had done, and I had to put it on my own growth. And that was very humbling for me because I had been a student of spirituality and mysticism for 40 years at the time, close to 40 years. And I was carrying all of this hurt and all of this dejection. And I was really feeling, the loneliness of being rejected by people that I loved very deeply, who I thought were going to be in my life until the end. And it just couldn't be. And I was really taking it personally, but I was also very angry and resentful towards them for blocking me out the way they did, because they were people who were family and some were friends. So all of it tied into that one issue with the individual that had hurt me very deeply. Everything else came to life. And I realized that if we don't have it in our heart, if we feel that the deed was so horrific that we just simply don't have it in us, the simple act of praying and saying, "Here, you take it, God. You take it." Because if we hold on to it, what happens is it consumes us. And that consumption of the act of being hurt to that degree actually blocks us from the other aspects of our life, our creative aspects, our talents, our abilities, because it overcomes us. Now, my special message in closing for those of you who have been on the other end of the spectrum and you have really hurt someone, and you have come to the realization about where you were at the time you hurt them. Maybe you were unfair with a parent or a child. Maybe you couldn't handle their illness. Maybe they did absolutely nothing to you, but you weren't getting what you felt you wanted out of the relationship. Or maybe you had respect of persons. This is a biggie, where you esteemed another child, if you are a parent, over the child that either you estranged or they estranged from you. Or you hurt your parent. You wounded them so deeply, and you are living with regret. I'm going to tell you something. It's not too late to go to that person and ask for forgiveness. And many times, that individual will see the truth if they have had their heart cracked open through deep wounding. And that love, that willingness to forgive will be there. And that relationship can be healed. May never be exactly the same, but it can take on a new dimension on a much more highly evolved level that is leading up to the mastery of divine love. And in some cases, that act of forgiveness will be rejected because the individual is simply not in a place to forgive. But either way it goes, realize that if you have caused hurt or even retaliated, ask yourself if you have truly forgiven yourself. Because in these cases, that's where it lies. When you forgive yourself, fully forgive yourself, then you will have that confidence to ask for forgiveness from another and not worry about whether you are going to be rejected or not. Because always remember this, fear is the biggest issue that blocks us from our soul growth. And the sinister force always works with fear. Fear of instilling in you that you are not worth anything, and that what you did is unforgivable, and that there is no going back. And that is a way of holding you back and keeping you down under thumb. So divine healing comes when the heart connects through prayer, through sacred worship. And this is when divine intervention comes and miracles manifest on the face of this earth. May the light and love of God enfold you and protect you and lead you on your journey to higher consciousness. Much love and many blessings.